Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I think we can start now. We have 23 participants with us. So good afternoon to all the India attendees and a very good evening to my enabled colleagues across the globe. Thank you for your attendance to our first interactive India event. Our session is aimed to provide the ServiceNow India community with insights, informative advice, workshops, and international guests. My name is Kapil Kumar, and I'm the Director of Operations for Enable India, and I'm happy to be your host. Let's see what's on the agenda for today. Nicole, if you could please turn to the next slide. So for today, you'll be hearing from 4 speakers. Our guest speakers are Bruce Hara, Enable Professional Services CEO, Sachin Bhasin, Enable Principal Consultant and a Certified Master Architect, Ali Kutti Abdul Razak, ServiceNow Consultant at Enable Professional Services, MVP for continuously 2018, 19, and 20, and a ServiceNow Titan. Our guest speaker, Ashutosh Munot, who is ServiceNow Consultant at National Netherlands, MVP for 2019 and 2020. Finally, we'll open the chat to questions you may have. Please add your questions to the chat so we can answer as many as we can. We will finish up with a quiz and prizes to make sure you are paying attention to grab some prizes. I would like to invite our first speaker, Enable CEO, Mr. Bruce Hara, and he'll be presenting on Enable's history and presence in India. Over to you, Bruce.
Thank you, Kapil, and welcome everyone. It is a privilege to us to run our first India Interactive. We plan on doing them regularly on an ongoing basis to really get a deeper connection with the ServiceNow community in India, which is such a large and thriving and growing community of people who have interests and excellence within the platform. So, as Kapil mentioned, and you may have seen through the registration process, Enable, an elite partner of ServiceNow. We're a dedicated partner on the ServiceNow platform, and we are the largest and most capable partner on the platform. And specific to that, our Indian business kicked off right when we started the business in 2014. So our second, third, and fourth employees were all from India. And we continued to grow our presence in India, and it was such an important part of our organization, literally from day one, in terms of the quality of the talent that we had that we were able to access in India and continue to do to this day. And as I said, from day one, and then even moving into now, I describe our Indian business as the heartbeat of Enable. The quality, the energy, and the drive and the culture that our team bring from our offices in Noida and Bangalore, and from those that work around the country on work from home basis, particularly through 2020. It's such a critical part of what we do and how we do, and they have genuinely, our Indian business has really enabled the success that we've had. So from 2014, we're a fast growing and now continuing to scale organisation. We now have over 250 consultants across both Australia, India, and Asia, and that number will continue to grow. Our Australian business is our largest from a size and customer and revenue perspective, but our Asian business continues to grow at over 60% year on year, and is a real driver of some great initiatives and very large global organizations that we work with that are doing just such interesting things on the platform. And many of you, or nearly all of you who are registered and listening to us now would know how fast and that the ServiceNow platform itself is growing, and how successful they are as an organisation, and we're certainly riding that wave and continuing to work both within the out of the box modules that transform the way the world works, but also with great innovation and very much an enterprise service management message that we drive through our organisation and also with our customers. We'll move on, Nick. I think we missed one of the slides, but that's okay. Moving forward. So as I mentioned, we are committed to the ServiceNow platform. We have large numbers of folks who are certified, and we very much drive that as an important part of what we do, both to provide the opportunity for people to do things that they've never done before. So that's the vision that we bring to our organisation, both within our employees and all our team members, and also to our customers. We're an organisation that has thrived and succeeded on providing those opportunities and giving people the ownership and responsibility to do those things that they've not done before. We really focus in on ensuring that our consultants are supported and have that opportunity, and then that results in great customer satisfaction. And we lead the way in the regions that we operate in ensuring successful deployments. But even more than that, we have the ongoing growth within those organisations to then continue to provide more opportunity to our people. So it's really a self-fulfilling cycle that we drive within. So I won't take up too much of your time. I do want to thank Nicole and Kapil and Meg from Enable for driving this activity, along with many others, and you're going to hear from them tonight. So specifically Ali and Utosh, I really want to thank you for giving us your time and participating in this, our inaugural event. So I'd love to speak with you one day, but thank you very much for that. And Sachin as well, who's going to share his journey to, I guess, through the process of becoming a certified master architect and all the trials and tribulations and benefits that's brought him throughout his career. So without further ado, I'll hand back to our host with the most, Mr. Kapil Kumar, and we'll move on to the guests of honour.
Thank you, Bruce. So now I'll be showcasing some of the life at Enable here in India. As Bruce said, we are known as the heartbeat of Enable. So we have 9 offices around APAC and 2 offices in India, one in Bangalore and one in Noida. As a team, we do a lot of for enabled blue chip companies. We also enjoy many festivities, social events together, create a sense of inclusiveness in all we do. Here you can see some pictures of the events, the festivities we enjoyed together. These are some pictures from Diwali, new office inaugurations, we did Republic Day, and a yearly conference we have. There are some of the pictures, but there are a lot of pictures. We cannot cover everything here today. But we enjoy almost every activity, including from your birthdays to your anniversaries. It's a whole inclusiveness as one dream, one team. For more on life at Enable, let's look at a LinkedIn Live page. So this is a LinkedIn Live page. If we can run the video possible, Nicole, let's see the audience, what we have for Enable.
Back to you, Kapil.
Thank you, Nicole. So, guys, you can see that I would love you all if you can follow Enable to keep informed about services we offer, company updates, tips and tricks, and the latest job offerings we have for you guys. Next in the line and the agenda, you'll hear from Sachin Bhasin on his journey with Enable Professional Services and how he became a certified master architect. Sachin, over to you.
Right, right. Kapil, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Kapil. Thank you, Bruce, Megan, Nicole, for having me here. Um, Look, guys, Certified Master Architect is one of the recent additions to the overall certifications that ServiceNow offers. And one of the reasons why it was brought up was because one of the ex-CEOs of ServiceNow, Mr. John Donahoy, he went into a meeting with a big prospective client, and they were of the view that they need some expert advice on the platform in order for them to be able to scale and get the best out of it. And that's where ServiceNow realized that they should be having a line of consultants who can actually be the ambassadors of the platform and can also advise the customers on how to make the best out of it, right? And therefore, they came out with this program called Certified Master Architect. Now, it's a 6 months program, guys, and we go through two approaches. One is cohort-led approach, and one of them is ServiceNow-led approach, where each of the members of ServiceNow team and a cohort team is actually nominated to speak every week, right? And because there are 25 members selected from an area, let's say last time we were a part of APJ. Right now we have Americas and EMEA cohort running, and APJ coming up in February next year. The ServiceNow team shortlist 25 people from each of the partner firms and their own professional services wing, and they come out with a list of 25 candidates who go through this program. It's not open for customers, and we were one of the first partners to have maximum representation in the first APJ cohort from Enable PS. We were three of us, and fortunately, all three of us cleared the exam in one attempt, and that was also a first, by the way. So that's how we are committed, and that's the quality of work and skills we have as a company, right? Moving on to the next slide, I just want to emphasize on the not just the CMA, but also the journey where I mean, how did I reach to that point? So I started to work with Enable PS, and I joined the company in India for a brief period. And at that point in time, we were building the team, and we the leadership team at Enable was so interested that they gave huge opportunities for developers for customer facing roles. And that's where I got an opportunity to move to Singapore and represent the company there, leading deployments in multiple roles, which includes architect, engagement manager, senior technical consultant, BPC. So you get to see, you get to learn from a lot of perspectives, and that's what this company provided me to do. And I also got an opportunity to, represent Enable PS at Knowledge 18 event in Las Vegas, and that was also one of the milestones because you get to see the overall, you get to see and meet the overall ServiceNow community at the world stage level. And that's when in 2019, after spending 1.5 years or so, I got an email from our training lead that we should be applying for this program. And fortunately, after making the application, I got through with the application, and then I moved on to the journey, which was the first in-person event at Santa Clara. And at that point in time, we met individually. Unfortunately, we had two more event planned, but due to the pandemic, we had to move to online mode, right? And therefore, we continued our program on Zoom calls and team calls for 6 months, leading up to a mock board in July 2020, and finally concluding into a successful outcome in September 2020, which also meant that apart from this program, which took up like 8 to 10 hours per week, we were we were supposed to do the daily routine work, but the leadership team at Enable was very helpful in order for us to be flexible in terms of choosing the work and managing these two things at the same time, right? Um, they were so supportive. I would specifically call out the leadership team for being supportive in not just making sure that we are not overworked, but also helping out in the final board reviews where my immediate my manager used to call me and talk about what are you getting in boards, used to share some artifacts with me, some documents, some tips, tricks, etc. And that actually helped me a lot from a final board exam perspective. So on that note, in the next slide, I would like to just briefly cover what topics we were offered in the CMA program. So if you can see in the list, these are the topics like which includes both ServiceNow-led topics and cohort-led topics. So you as a cohort member are supposed to represent yourself with an area of specialization you have. I represented custom applications and HR service delivery because that's my strong area. And we had members from the cohort and ServiceNow team covering topics like upgrades, integrations, governance, OCM, etc. So broadly, you get to learn every aspect of the platform and how not just the platform, but also how you can bring the best out of the platform, like by establishing the right governance structure and managing the OCM, managing the stakeholders, proper design thinking. So that bottom right hand side chart that you see on the whiteboard, that's a design thinking workshop that we had in our in-person event. We were also given some soft communication tips by a few of the prominent speakers in Bay Area, and that was an enlightening experience in itself. And all of this couldn't have been possible with the indispensable support by the company and the leadership team here at Enable. So all in all, the journey from where I started, I never expected that I'll come this far. It has been leaps and bounds, and this wouldn't have been possible with the growth of business that we have seen, and also the kind of opportunities that it has brought in for the employees, right? So on that note, I hand it over to Ali. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me about this program. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Sachin, for your briefing on CMA. And I would like to welcome our international guest speaker for today, our now community MVP, Ashutosh Munot. Ashutosh is a ServiceNow consultant working at National Netherlands. He's the community top 10 and also the MVP for year 2019 and 2020. You would have seen him contributing a lot in the ITOM and GRC space. So, Ashutosh, let's start with some quick fireside questions to you. Okay. So, everyone has some story on how they started working in ServiceNow. So, can you tell me your story on how you started with ServiceNow? Can you hear me, Ashutosh?
Hello.
Yeah.
You can hear me properly, right?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, great. So thanks for having me. Yeah, to answer your question, how I entered into ServiceNow industry. So basically, I was pursuing my master's in Pune in MIT. Then I was hired by a company called as KPIT, where actually I started working on ServiceNow as a consultant, and then I learned the tool from there, and that's how I started my journey on ServiceNow, basically.
Okay, yeah, it's great to hear. So, what excites you more about the future of service now?
Yeah, if you look at the innovation what ServiceNow is bringing to the industry and to uh, solve the pain points of the customer, that's exciting because the machine learning AI ops, they are trying to embed it into the existing tools, existing modules, basically, is important. It is exciting to me because initially people were looking at ServiceNow as only an ITSM tool, but it has got more capabilities than what we think. And the major driver is the innovation and how it is helping clients to um, make their life easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I see the future scope is very vast and it's expanding day by
Yep.
day. Okay. Can you name a person who has motivated you in service now and who you would suggest the audience to follow?
There are many, but if you want to follow someone and if you want to uh, make your idol, I always go with Chuck because he's the person who motivated me a lot when I started doing community and when I started actually following ServiceNow a lot. I was looking to Chuck because he was the guy who was helping a lot everywhere in ServiceNow industry. So that's the motivation. Now that's the person who I will suggest you to follow because every day he's bringing a new thing to the community and he has a different level of energy.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And Chuck, yeah, is a great guy. I do admire him and his work for the community. I have also seen you writing lots of blogs, doing videos, and mostly answering in community. So, what keeps you active in the community, and how do you, mainly, how do you find time for all these activities?
First of all, why I do community a lot because uh, the audience on the community, they will ask you different type of questions. So the main thing is you get different use cases to learn, and those use cases allow actually you to learn and to try it on your personal instances. So vast number of use cases, that is the first point. Second is um, second important thing is that if I can help to save some wrong implementation, then I will do that because few times people don't know what is the best practice to do or write a code. People are doing it in a wrong way, and then they'll end up into some issues. That is one thing why I do community and how I find a time. Yeah, in a day I dedicate at least couple of hours to community so that I can uh, stay active on the community as well as I can uh, maintain my reputation on the community.
Yeah, definitely. It's not at all an easy thing, to contribute with your daily work. And yeah, we all appreciate what you've been doing. And
Thanks.
lastly, just I would like to ask one more thing: is what is the best advice that you would like to give to our audience?
Um, I would say I want everyone to be MVP. So try to contribute as much as possible to our ServiceNow community and help everyone out there. Uh, Another advice will be keep yourself up to date because this platform is growing tremendously. It's vast. Um, and I always say half knowledge is dangerous. So always have a full knowledge about what you are doing and try to help others as much as possible.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good advice. Good to share. Okay, I think yeah, and yeah, thank you for answering these questions. So next
Thanks.
up, we'll be moving on to your topic for today, which is how can ITOM help organization to keep CMDB accurate and healthy. So over to you, Ashutosh.
Thank you so much. First of all, again, I will like to thank you, Hannibal, for having me here. All the management team, Ali, you for doing the follow-ups and uh, actually motivating me to present in this particular session. So why I choose this topic is because actually ITOM is in demand. It's changing every day. It's vast, and many organizations are trying to adopt the ITOM modules. So maybe to the next slide, please. Yeah, this is me. I am Ashutosh. I'm actually working in Netherlands for a client called as Nationale Nederlanden from last 1.5 year. I have total 7 years of experience in ServiceNow implementation as well as consulting. Um, as Ali mentioned, I'm MVP from last couple of years. I have been certified in some of the modules like you see on the screen. My hobbies, I like cycling, running, then playing football, cricket, and doing community. Thanks. Agenda for today will be simple. Let's see why CMDB is needed for every organization. Then what are the challenges customers are facing at the moment? How we as an organization has overcome those challenges. Uh, then what ITOM brings you? What are the levels in ITOMs? What approach you should follow? What are the best practices you should uh, see for ITOM? What are the use cases which we are doing? Then we will open the floor for Q&A, and then I have a short demo about orchestration in combination with our integration hub. Next. Yeah, so what is exactly CMDB? It's nothing but a collection basically of your software, your hardware, your assets, which acts as a source of truth for your organization, and it acts as a centralized CMDB. Now, why I said why CMDB is important is because the thing is, uh, in many organizations, we have seen that there are multiple sources for CMDB and multiple CMDBs are maintained at different places, which leads to you know which leads to untrusted source of data basically, and that's the main thing why you should have a single source of truth, and that is what we call as a CMDB, which is nothing but a collection of CIs, and the CIs can be software, hardware, or your IP network, things like switches and routers. To the next slide. This is really important because we will be seeing um, in the throughout the presentation that CMD ITOM revolves around CMDB. So I would say CMDB is heart of the tool, and then that CMDB is used by your other processes like incident management, problem management, change management. Now, to support those processes, you should first have up-to-date CMDB, and that's the reason we say that the CMDB is beneficial for your ITOM processes. Apart from that, why CMDB is beneficial is because you need um, to make the root cause analysis properly. You need to make the decisions properly when there is a P1 or P2 in your organization. And if you have a proper service map or a proper CMDB, it helps you to take your decisions in time and accurately. So that's the major benefit I would say about the CMDB. But to start with the CMDB, there are few things which we followed and that has helped us, and I would like to share what we have followed. First, what we have done is we decided the target audience or the people who are required to have a successful CMDB. Our process owners, our network teams, our firewall teams, everyone was brought into one group, and then we started our CMDB journey. That is what we called as set our direction. So we were very clear that, okay, we want to have ServiceNow as our centralized CMDB. And to achieve that, what you guys will have to do, you have to set your direction, you have to set your goal, mission, and vision to have the CMDB in place. Then we had our CMDB model created. Now we are following CSDM recently, but before that, there was no CSDM model, and we started our journey like a couple of years ago. So we had our own CMDB model. We tried to stick as out of the box as possible to ServiceNow, which has helped us a lot. Then the most important point was the tools under consideration. So to have an accurate CMDB, what actually you need? Do you need discovery? Do you need service mapping? Do you need cloud? What exactly you need? So we made we had a brainstorming sessions. We went through advantages, disadvantages of respective tools, and then we actually came to the conclusion that, okay, we need ServiceNow CMDB as our central source of truth. Then we will not deviate from ServiceNow at all, and that's the reason we opted for discovery, service mapping, and cloud. And that I would suggest is the best way to do. Start brainstorming sessions for your CMDB, have a goal, vision in place, and then proceed further, which will actually allow you to have more benefits out of your CMDB and help other modules in ServiceNow implementations. To the next slide, please. So this was the outcome of our brainstorming session, basically, that first of all, we had lack of visibility into our infrastructure because the CMDB was maintained manually. We were using manual loads to maintain our CMDB. And definitely, if you are maintaining your CMDB manually, you can't have all the relationships in place. You can't see the impact on a service when there is some outages in your organization. And that was actually a huge pain for us, and we wanted to solve that first, that we wanted our infrastructure to be visible right from bottom till top. Okay, then improved I think, can you go back? Sorry. Yeah. Then improve data in CMDB. Yes. So only discovery won't help you to keep your CMDB accurate. Only service mapping will not help you to keep your CMDB data accurate, because there are few things which are not discovered and which are not actually automatically updated on your CMDB data. For example, the owner details, for example, the group which is supporting that particular CS. So we again had a strategy for that also, that how that data will be maintained. So the important things or the key fields will be populated on your CMDB. So we laid down that particular thing because that was another pain point for a couple of things. First was for billing, and second for routing the incidents, the problems, the changes automatically to the teams. Then when it comes to decision making, as I said, the root cause analysis, when there is an outage or when there is a P1, and if we want to do a root cause analysis on a problem, then that was not possible because the CMDB was maintained again manually. We didn't know which services are impacted for it. And that helps actually, that actually was the driving point for going towards discovery and service mapping. Now, governance is given importance in each and every organization. So we use GRC, which has again a good connection with our CMDB, and which also has a good connection with the automation, because I'm not only talking about governance, but I'm also talking about the vulnerabilities which we have into our environment. We wanted to get rid of that, and that's the reason we wanted our data to be as accurate as possible. Less innovation and automation, definitely, because we didn't had a proper insights when to trigger the automation, when to trigger the remediations of that particular problems or the particular incident or the particular events. And that was our another challenge, because when it comes to event management, this point comes into picture, automation, which I will be showing in my demo as well, that how we have achieved it within less time. Next slide, please. Great. So this is actually, I would not say exactly suite, but this is a package which ServiceNow as an ITOM uh, enterprise module is. So there are three suites basically in ITOM. One is standard, professional, and the last one is enterprise. If you have a standard package, then you get visibility, that is discovery and service mapping. Along with discovery and service mapping, you also get certificate discovery as well as firewall and firewall discovery, basically. When it comes to standard package, it's a combination, professional package, it's a combination of visibility and health, where in health you have event management and your operational intelligence, which is again another thing which helps you to keep your CMDB accurate. And the last one is optimization, which is for provisioning, deprovisioning of your cloud infrastructure, um, and also to have insights about your cloud, because ServiceNow came with two products. One is cloud insights, that is, it will give you the um, costing details, that how much you are spending, where you can save, and how you can save, basically. So these are the three pillars which comes under ITOM. Can we go to the next slide? Great. So this is actually very important. This is a maturity model which I would recommend everyone to follow. So basically, this picture is from one of the articles ServiceNow created for the audience. I have taken this picture from there, and this is the model which we followed to achieve our dreams. I would not say that we are 100%, but we are closer to it. We are really happy with the results what we have achieved in last couple of years. So first phase was visibility. And when I say visibility, again, you guys can correlate with the previous image. We started with discovery. Now, when we started with discovery, we had a single goal that, okay, we wanted our IT infrastructure to be discovered and to be maintained in ServiceNow. So that was our primary focus. And after implementing discovery, we went to service mapping, because everyone knows that to have service mapping, the prerequisite is discovery. Now, what advantages visibility gave us? Basically, first was we were able to achieve our multi-cloud strategy, because we had different clouds. We have some on-prem servers as well. So that was the first advantage which we got. The next thing was we got end-to-end visibility of our IT infrastructure, so that it helped our ITSM processes a lot. Then basically, when we start with visibility, we also had a question in mind, that how scalable it is. Can we scale it? Can we scale it from one business unit to another business unit? Because we had almost like 10 to 12 business units, and what strategy we will follow. We will look at in. I will explain the best practices what we followed in the upcoming slides. But that was one of the thing which came into our mind when we were actually in phase one. When we moved to phase two, then the thing was to measure the availability. Like our customers, as we are a financial institute, as we are an insurance-based institute, we wanted our services to be available 99.99%, just a figure, but we wanted our services for our customers to be available whenever they want. So for that reason, we did monitoring. So availability is everything related to your monitoring. We had a strategy that how many monitoring tool we have in our organizations, how we are going to actually integrate those with our ServiceNow tool. What will be our strategy? Are we going to start with all the tools at a time, or are we going to start one by one? All those things came into our mind, and then we focused on availability. Now, availability will help you to actually correlate your events, solve them, and then it's a driver for your agility, because
if you're doing proper availability and visibility, then only you can achieve agility. And agility is nothing but a approach to automation. It will help you to automatically remediate few things. It will give you more self-service. uh, right now in our organization, we don't wanted a central team to be what you say, they, no dependency on the central team basically. So we have a good segregation of duty. We did provided some rights to proper people in an organization so they can do self-service in all the three areas basically. So that was our main goal, to stick to this particular maturity level. And definitely we had some consultation with ServiceNow in each and every phase, and we had some brainstorming sessions with ServiceNow as well in each and every phase. Next slide, please. Great. Our first and foremost important part was ITSM, because the first module which every organization I have seen, they start with ITSM, and this was our major thing, because our process owners, our ITSM process owners, they were not able to um, do proper decision making, and they were not able to calculate the availability of the service and the commitments properly, because we had some KPIs, we were not achieving those, and then we started talking about, okay, how can we go and achieve this? So we followed this process where first we had our centralized CMDB. So we consolidated all the CMDBs from different places into one place, and that one place was ServiceNow. And to maintain that centralized CMDB, we actually used ITOM. Then the next thing was uh, how proactively you can identify the issues in your infrastructure. Now here in the third point, there are couple of tools which we have used, or couple of modules which we have used in ServiceNow. First was definitely event management, where all the events from different sources were coming to ServiceNow, which used to tell us that, okay, there is some issue, and we used to automatically remediate those. But one more important module which helped us a lot was our vulnerability response, because it has helped us to identify the vulnerabilities which can cause an outages to your and which can also cause a risk to your organization, and that led us to do proactive patching, proactive maintenance of our infrastructure. Then informed incident response, yes. So here again, if it is a security incident response, we used SIR for that, and if it is a normal infrastructure infrastructure incident, then we have used normal ITSM modules in combination with change management, definitely, because change management, we automated it in such a way that whenever there is a change implemented, we will have an ability to see if it has really been implemented, if it is really been uh, uh, it has really solved the vulnerability, as well as we have mitigated the security and the risk. And that was done in the fifth point. And the last point, which is, I would say, performance analytics and your reporting, because our CIO, he was mostly interested in that. He was interested in seeing the uptime of the services. He wanted to see how much P1, P2 incidents are in there, what is the MTTR, and how quickly we are actually resolving the issues. So this was the strategy we definitely followed for ITSM processes and for vulnerability response and security incident, along with ITOM. Next slide, please. I already covered this, like we laid down or we went to each and every team in an organization which is important for this journey, because ITOM means the whole organization basically. You need support from all the infrastructure teams. You need someone to drive this project. So we had project managers, we had proper implementation partners, we also had proper consultants available internally as well as externally. We had technicians from each and every team, like your firewall teams, your network teams, your Windows Linux teams, and so on. Why those are necessary? Because there was a fixed deadline that we want to achieve the goal of this particular module. We want to achieve, or we should have a return on investment of for these modules. And for that reason, we already took an approval from each and every team members that whenever needed, these guys will be available for us and they will help us to achieve our goal. And that is really important because we don't want dependencies on other teams on their sprints. We are an agile organization, so we always had a placeholder for all the discovery or ITOM related things in our organization. And that has helped us a lot because if you guys are going on leave, who will replace it? All those things were maintained at a proper level in a single calendar, basically. And I would suggest you to focus on this point as much as possible and don't have loopholes while you are implementing, or you don't have dependencies on other teams while you are implementing the particular modules. Next slide. Okay, now let's start with what is actually ITOM visibility. So I already told you that ITOM visibility consists of 3 or 4 things. First is discovery, then service mapping, and actually discovery consists of certificate discovery and firewall discovery, which is which recently came from Orlando and Paris release. Why we need ITOM visibility? So there are basically um, I would say ITOM visibility is an heart of ITOM because discovery revolves, everything revolves around discovery. If you do proper discovery, then only you can populate your CMDB. I won't go into that details because I already covered a lot, like I explained the advantages of discovery already, but the best practices. Now, how we started, again, I will let you know that what best practices you should follow in discovery and service mapping. So first I will start with the mid-server strategy and what we did. So we had 3 or 4 data centers in our organizations and 12 different business units, which means that we had a uh, huge scope to achieve and huge goal to achieve. We started focusing on Netherlands first, which had 3 data centers, and then we laid down our mid server strategy. Okay, how many mid servers are required for uh, data center A? How many mid servers are required for data center B? And this all calculations was done after brainstorming with our data center teams because they knew the network, they knew the traffic on the network, they knew the best time when we should trigger the discovery because the load on the network was immense. And the last thing was, yeah, every ServiceNow team follows that how we should share the mid servers. Should we follow behaviors? Should we follow mid server clustering? Should we share the mid servers between production, non-production, all those things? Personally, what we did is we kept mid servers separate for production environment. We separated mid servers for non-production environments, and for non-production environments, we have shared our mid servers. The most important point here was about credentials. Please have a clear strategy about credentials because I have seen many organizations which won't allow you to store the credentials in ServiceNow because of some security reasons. And that happened with us also. Our security teams were not allowing us to save the credentials in ServiceNow. Then what's the next approach? Always use external credential storage. And we went with CyberArk. Now, when the mid server count grows, your CyberArk agent also grows and you need to purchase the AIM agent for CyberArk. So again, the cost consideration will come into the picture. So before you start discovery, just have this very clear that where you are going to store the credentials, have them properly approved, have all the security documents in place because we were asked uh, for many things that will the data between ServiceNow and the mid server will be encrypted or not encrypted, how it works, and all those things were actually uh, answer to our security teams. So as a best practice, you should, when you go and consult your customers, have these details already with you, have the things cleared with your customer, and first and the most important thing, ask your customer what he wants to achieve after implementing discovery. And that was the thing which we follow. Another best practice was when to run the discovery, because that's really important. When you actually consult with your clients, you should actually talk to your network teams, because they know the traffic on your network and when you should run the discovery. We usually run it non-business hours, we run it over the night. But again, CyberArk was in picture, and we had some another tool which was actually making use of CyberArk, and then CyberArk agent was getting overloaded. So we had to manage all those things. For example, your tenable scans, which we have in organizations to scan vulnerabilities, that was actually overlapping our discovery schedules. So all those things has to be managed before only, and have the schedules laid down according to that. And that is actually our lessons learned also, that we faced some outages on CyberArk because of all those things which we didn't take care initially. And that's the experience which I'm sharing with you guys for this. Now, when it comes to service mapping, um, again, I will repeat the same thing, that if you have 10 services, do you want to start with the 10 services at the same time? If you have resources, you can always do that. But what we have learned is that start with one service, have it implemented properly, show the output of that particular service, or show the advantage of doing service mapping and discovery to your clients, to your stakeholders, so that they gain a trust in you, and then you can move ahead and implement other services and uh, provide them return on investment, basically. Next slide, please. Great. No, can you go back? One more. Yeah, great. So ITOM Health, like event management and operational intelligence. To be frank, we have not done operational intelligence yet, but event management at a high level we have done, because we had so many monitoring tools, and our MCR team, which is our centralized monitoring team, they were not able to have a single view. And that's the reason we wanted all the event sources to be consolidated into one event, one tool, and that was ServiceNow. So all the sources were actually pushing the events to ServiceNow, and that's why we started with ITOM. Sorry, that's why we started with event management. Now, um, again, self-service came into picture, because we didn't wanted our centralized team to be overloaded for creating the event rules, and to also do the alert correlation and the automation behind this. So we did self-service. We do citizenship development a lot, and that has helped us to concentrate on some other areas on the tool. Now, when it comes to best practices, again, should we start with all the tools at the same time? Should we integrate all the tools with event management at the same time? No. Always have a phased approach. Always have a, a proper approach which will help you to show, again, the benefits of the tool and the benefits of how efficiently you should do your event management. Now, event management is all about machine learning and AI ops. So when I say machine learning and AI ops, when you are actually correlating the events manually, ServiceNow is smart enough, it will keep all those manual correlations into its memory, and the next time when it comes, it will automatically use that manually correlated rule, and it will help you to automatically correlate that. So as a best practice, what we did was we started out of the box. We started using uh, automated correlations as well as CMDB correlations, because we wanted our MCR teams, monitoring teams, to have a single view, and that was service map, to see the impact to the business service. We first laid down the OOB rules. We asked them to use the OOB rules which ServiceNow supplies for the respective tools, like for SCOM, for Zabbix, for Splunk. All those things we actually use out of the box, and then we actually fine tuned it to achieve our goal. Now, uh, for event management, the one point which I would really like to focus is what you want to create out of it. Do you want to create an incident? Do you want to create a knowledge base, or do you want to create some other task? And I would always say that we used to create an incident, and we used to calculate the severity and priority based upon our rules which we laid down. Then the lessons learned was we still had lack of automation, because for automation we wanted the credentials. For example, let's say I want to restart a server. I want to extend the memory of a server when there is an outage alert on respective server, which is critical server, and we want to do um, extension of the memory, extension of that disk. Then how will you do it? Because people were not allowing us to touch their servers. Then we laid down a security policy. We explained everything to the respective teams, and that took more time. And that's the reason I said have these things clear already before you start to implement the tools, which will save you a lot of time when you actually do the implementation. Next slide, please. Yeah, so we saw what ITOM optimization brings. I said we have provisioning, deprovisioning of the servers. We can do that from ServiceNow. Another thing which is in ITOM optimization is the cloud insights, which will give you the spending, expenditure, return on investment, and where you can save on your uh, cloud environments. Now, coming back to the best practice, we had three clouds into picture. We had Azure, we had our VMware on-prem, and we have AWS. But as a team, we started to use, we had uh, a focus that, okay, let's do it with one, and that was our AWS first. So we started a phase-wise approach. We started implementing the provisioning catalog items in ServiceNow. Now, to have a proper cloud management, or to have a proper provisioning in place, you should understand the operations which your cloud team has to um, which your cloud team has to implement. So for example, we had some pre-processing activities, we had some post-processing activities. Do we need an integration with some other tools when we do this provisioning? Yes. So if you can try to reutilize as much as out of the box capitals, you should do that. You should not uh, um, focus on what is not available in the tool at the beginning. The next approach which we followed was, okay, we want an SCCM client to be installed on that provision server. So how can we do that? Do we have something out of the box available? Yes, then use it. So all those things we had followed after proper consultation with ServiceNow as well, because ITOM Cloud, I would say it's changing rigorously and day by day. Next slide, please. Yeah, so why I included Integration Hub here, because whenever you purchase ITOM, even if you have visibility, even if you have ITOM Health, and even if you have ITOM optimizations, you always get some protocols and some spokes in with all these suites. If you have standard suite, you will get some protocols, like for example, you will get PowerShell, SSH, and you will get some spokes along with ITOM Health. The ITOM optimization also, you will get AWS Azure spokes. So that's the reason I have included Integration Hub here. The main thing is Integration Hub has an capabilities of orchestration like REST, SOAP, then you have JDBC, then you have PowerShell, you have SSH. All those things are possible in Integration Hub. We are using Integration Hub along with event management because the power Integration Hub gives you is you can reutilize the spokes which are already available. It is basically low code strategy of ServiceNow, which has helped our self-service users to reutilize the things which we as a central team has created for them. So as I said, we have a emphasis on our citizenship development a lot. We have created some reusable components to trigger PowerShell activities, REST activities, and they are reutilizing it in event management in their subflows to remediate few things in their environment. And that's the important thing which you should know, that Integration Hub can and is used along with ITOM. Next slide, please. Yeah, so license information. Now, why it is important? Because each and every organizations will not have many licenses. They definitely has to purchase it, but ServiceNow has changed their licensing criteria tremendously from last couple of years. So these are the servers, server classes, which are actually calculated when you do discovery. So one subscription unit, if you discover a VM instance, if you discover a server, that is considered as one subscription unit. But if you are also discovering the server as well as with its VM instance, then it won't be counted twice, it will be counted once. All this information we had in consultation with ServiceNow, because we had a huge environment like 20K servers in our environment, and we had a discussion that, okay, how much we need to pay if we purchase a standard subscription, if we purchase professional subscription, if we purchase enterprise subscription, then the cost of this particular subscriptions differs, or cost per subscription unit differs. So all those things were discussed. Then these are your PaaS resources, these are your containers. In the next slide, I have explained. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, this is a high-level overview again, that how the subscription units are managed. So one server means one subscription unit. One PaaS resource means 3 PaaS resources. So one subscription unit for PaaS resources is 3 CIs for that PaaS. One subscription unit for containers means 3 containers, and then unresolved monitor objects is again 1-to-1. Now, why I have included license information here? Because there was an obvious question that if the same CI or same server was used by event management, was used by operational intelligence, as well as it was used by our discovery service mapping, then do we need to share the license? No, you don't. Yeah, you need to share the license. I mean, the subscription cost might increase, but you will be only charged one, because the same server is shared by all the respective modules. And then how also we had, as I said, we had different business units. So how should we divide the cost? And for that reason, we wanted our CMDB to be accurate and the foundation data in the CSDM model to be accurate, like your business units, your department data, because then we can do the charging across it. And that's the major thing, which if you have a huge organization, this CSDM foundation data is necessary to do the license calculation in your organization. ServiceNow will definitely provide you with an overview, but after getting that overview of the licenses, you need to drill down and distribute the cost to your respective business units. And that was our main goal, to have license information sorted out, the cost sorted out, and the foundation data to be laid down. Next thing, please. Any questions?
Thank you, Ashu. Audience, there'll be a demo. So anything before the demo you want to ask to Ashu, and he'll try to answer that in the demo. Any questions you can on your speaker and ask, you can put in the chat.
We do have a question in the chat from Digvijay saying, what is the difference between firewall discovery and certificate discovery?
Okay, so basically certificate discovery is the certificates installed on your servers. So ServiceNow has, I think, 3 or 4 approaches to discover those certificates. One is using the URL, one is using the port scanning, and one is using your manual loads is also possible. So that is a certificate discovery. So you install CA certificates on your servers, you can discover that using ServiceNow. And when it comes to firewall discovery, it means that the rules, the TCP rules of your firewalls will be discovered by ServiceNow.
Does that answer the question, Digvijay? He's gone quiet. Oh, thanks, he said.
Thanks, Ashutosh. Yeah, I got my answer.
Basically, the firewall things are used for auditing by your respective network teams, because then they know ServiceNow will scan all the firewall rules, store it in ServiceNow, and then auditing teams or your network audit teams can actually do the reporting on it, and they can compare that, okay, they have their native reports, as well as ServiceNow will provide them one more report, and then they can compare. And then they can also compare it with change management process, because when it comes to governance, risk, and compliance, you should see that a proper change request was raised for this firewall rule or not. So that's the major motive of that.
Okay, we've got another question
Okay,
here.
Ashutosh, thank you.
We've got another question here from Shailesh Kumar. If we need to set up discovery for multiple business units or locations, what are the best practice that we could follow in terms of data segregation? Do you mean domain separation?
We have not used domain separation because we had an agreement between with our security officers and risk officers that whenever we discover data for different business units, they can see the data for business unit A, business unit B can see the data for business unit XYZ. We don't have domain separation instance, but if I would say if the domain separation instance is mostly used by the bigger companies like Cognizant, Capgemini, they have multiple MSP instances where they onboard different customers and they use discovery on that particular customers. But if you are focusing on one customer, then I think I would not go for domain separation, because domain separation has its own disadvantages and advantages again. But we didn't had domain separation. We had a real security paper, or you can say a white paper for security, which was shared with all the business units about the data visibility. And the segregation of duty was definitely in place. We have not given each and every individual in those particular countries to run discovery, because we went with self-service citizenship development, but we again had a proper approach and proper segregation of duty, that okay, who can do what. So you have to lay down that before you start the discovery process.
Ashutosh, Digvijay this side from Enable PS. I just want to know one thing. I've seen this case most of the time that people don't use MSP, right? Maybe for single company they don't use, but let's say our client is operating in from 18 BUs. Let's say they have operating in 18 countries, and they all the 18 countries have different requirement. Would you suggest that it is a good option to go domain separation at that time, rather than doing the configuration on single domain for all the 18 countries? Do you think that at that point of time domain separation would be a good solution?
As I said, we also had 12 business units spread across different countries, but we didn't went with that because it was a management decision, basically, that we don't want to go with the MSPs or the domain separated instance. I would suggest have a good consultation with the client, and if the requirements are differing a lot. And also one important point was we had one business unit in Japan. Now, between the countries, there is always some rule of GDPR, and we considered that also because GDPR is given more importance now. So we didn't onboarded Japan because between those two countries, there was an agreement that the data can flow between these two countries, right? If you don't have those complexities, or if you don't have those kind of regulations, then use one instance. If you have different regulations per business unit per country, I would suggest go for domain separation.
Okay, thank you, Ashutosh.
Okay, we have another question here from Mohit. Is ITOM event management a like-for-like replacement for Splunk ITSI? If no, please share the differences.
Tell me, we can have a debate on this for another 1 hour because we already had this question many times in our own organization because our main monitoring tool is Splunk in our organization. But Splunk ITSI has many capabilities which ServiceNow don't have. But the thing is, we made a decision based upon costing, and Splunk works on logs. ITSI get a feed from Splunk core, and there was no direct integration from Splunk ITSI with event management module. So it directly has an integration from Splunk ITSI to incident ITSM processes, but not with event management, which actually was a blocker for us because we wanted auto remediations for the events. So whenever there was an event coming from a server which needs a service restart or which needs a server restart, we were not able to achieve it when we integrated with ITSI because ITSI was not creating event, it was creating an incident directly. And we wanted to reduce the incidents, right? Our ultimate goal is to reduce the incidents in your organization. We didn't wanted 100 P1s. So what we did was we integrated with Splunk core and the event management module. But again, you need to make a decision. Your organization needs to make a decision based upon the costing, based upon the advantages which you want. And I would not say that it's a replacement for ITSI because, for example, tools like SCOM, Jabix, then a CloudWatch, we had direct integration with ServiceNow. Yeah, they can also feed the data to Splunk, but we wanted ServiceNow to be a single source of truth and single system where all the events will be consolidated.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Ashutosh. This is Mohit. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So just another line that I'd put in after the question was that we have also done similar analysis with various other tools, and currently it looks like the capabilities are there in ITOM and obviously will be expanded in the future. But today it's a great tool for a manager kind of a layer to consolidate events from multiple tools and then feed it back into the platform. But hopefully with the Loom acquisitions and inclusions of the capabilities from that side of the acquisition, the future of ITOM is definitely brighter and will bring more and more capabilities in that area, right?
Yes, and if you look at Paris release, when it comes to correlation of the alerts, there is a huge improvement for machine learning and AI ops. ServiceNow is implementing and it's moving towards AI ops a lot. They want
Yes.
to actually help organizations. But I actually appreciate your question because this was the same question where we had a debate for days and days, and then we landed into one decision that okay, we will go with ServiceNow event management.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for your input, Sudarshan, and a great presentation.
Thank you so
guys.
much.
Okay, there's no more questions in the chat. If anybody does have any questions, please feel free to add them to the chat. Kapil, I'm going to hand back to you. I believe you've got some fun stuff happening coming up next.
Is it demo,
no.
I think, Ashu?
My apologies, it's the
Yes.
demo next. Now,
I can share my screen.
Yes, please. At the top, you should have a share button.
Yeah, I can see it. Let me start sharing my window.
That's coming
Is
through
my-
fine.
Awesome. So basically, I created a. I wanted to show you how discovery works, and then that discovery leads to event management, and that event management leads to an orchestration. So I have a small setup at my place where I will be discovering my server. Once I discover that server, I can show you it will be discovered in our CMDB. And give me a minute. I will quickly. Okay. So first, basics of discovery. Why I'm discovering this server, because I wanted to take you through the ITOM journey, that how it will help you guys and how it is integrated with each other. So I have triggered a discovery for my server, which will approximately take a couple of minutes. And then what I'm going to do is, meanwhile it is getting discovered, I will create one event on my server, and that event will actually trigger the orchestration towards my server, and it will restart a service, stop a service, as well as it will bring some process data from my server to that event. And that is the power of ServiceNow and how the ITOM module is correlated with each other. So you can see now here, basically the scanning happened. It saw that the port 135 was open, and that's the reason it triggered WMI classification. And then as I have installed my server on a computer, it has triggered a Windows OS desktop pattern. It will, maybe I might have discovered it already. Yeah, you can see my server is discovered here. Let's wait. Okay, so you can see it has also discovered, yeah, I have discovered it yesterday as well. So I don't want to wait for these things to finish, because it might take some more time. But you guys can see how discovery helps you to actually populate initial data like the serial number, the host name, the manufacturer, the model ID. And the most important thing which discovery will give you is um, the application installed on it. So the MS SQL instances it has discovered, which are installed on my machine, which is another driver for your SAMPRO module, because all in an organization, you may have different SQL instances and a contract with your Microsoft tools. You also have contract with Oracle, and all those things are used as a publisher pack from SAMPRO, and we calculate the licensing and how many servers are actually utilizing those particular licenses. We can see that in SAMPRO. And here also you can see that how it is connected. This is a dependency map. Basically, it shows you all the Express instances. Can someone go on mute? Thanks. Okay. You can see now the CI is properly updated. Now what I will do is, so this was basically discovery. You guys saw how it was discovered. And then here also you can see it has triggered a pattern called as MS SQL DB, because that MS SQL DB instance is installed on my machine. So this is how discovery works. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create an event. So I will be creating an event on my machine from post one at the moment, but ideally it should come from your monitoring tools. If there is something wrong, let's say if there was an outage on this server and the monitoring tool triggered an event, I have triggered an event, and that event will arrive here. You can see the event came. It was on my node. Then it is still under processing. I will simply reload. You guys can see it created an alert. Depending upon my event rule and my correlation rules, it has and my CI binding, it has binded my CI with the configuration item. So the process in event management is whenever there is an event coming into ServiceNow, it will first trigger event rules. It will see which event rule is mapping this particular source. Then it will actually trigger the alert management rule. Sorry, it will then create an alert, do the CI binding. And once the CI binding is done and once the alert is created, it will trigger alert management rules. And those alert management rules will be triggered. And now you can see basically that as soon as the alert was created, you will see the process details are copied here. I think this is my old execution. So basically, let me first show you the alert management rule which I have created. Great. So here I have given a condition that if the configuration item is my server, then trigger these two things. You can also trigger only subflows or you can also trigger only workflows. But for the demo purpose, I have actually consolidated it and I'm triggering both the things. So what this subflow will do is it will glow. I can show you. It will go and bring the process details running on that particular server, and it will help analyst who is working on that alert to make a decision whether we should manually convert this into an incident or we should do uh, auto remediation based upon some different principle. For example, if the process is consuming the CPU for 95%, then we can actually restart the server or we can kill that particular service. Also, along with that, maybe I can show you. Yeah, first let's have a look at this particular flow where I have created this flow, which is actually triggering a PowerShell script, and that PowerShell script is getting an output, and that output is I showed you. That output will be like this. It will give you the process name, the ID of the process, because maybe I need to show you the action. Because here in this particular PowerShell script, I am saying that, okay, use this credential on this host. I need to only get SVC host process details. Now, this is simply for demo. I have done this, but we as an organization are doing it at a high level where we have some chef commands triggering, where we have uh, start and stop of some critical servers, and we also do something called as explicit remoting. We have some automation servers where all the scripts are stored. We invoke those scripts from this flow designer, and how you can do it is you can just provide a path of that particular script here, and that will be invoked. Now there are a couple of options here. You can see explicit remoting, then implicit remoting, and then the last one is run on mid server or have your script establish a remote session. So depending upon three options, we actually do our automation at large scale. And this start and stop service, if I show you the workflow, it's a second remediation rule. Let's say there is an alert for a respective service which is consuming my CPU for more than 95% and for continuously for 10 minutes. And if I want to restart the service, I have used out of the box activity, which will actually help you to restart the servers. But this actually needs some inputs, and that is uh, your server name as well as the service name which you want to restart, and all those things. For example, if I open this, you can see the host name, the service which I need to restart, and what should I do with it? Should I stop it or should I start it? and all those things come from Splunk into ServiceNow event in an additional information field. We parse it and then we pass it to that particular workflow to do the necessary actions in this particular alert. Also, if you want to trigger this manually, right now I have kept the execution automatic, but if you want to do it manually, they will always appear here in the quick responses. Right now I don't have anything. So you see the run remediation thing is empty, but if you want it to be, if you want that this particular workflow and this particular flow has to be triggered manually also, then it's very simple. You have to just adjust it into your alert management rule. You have to make the execution as both. So it will trigger manually as well as automatically. Save this. And if I go to the alert, if I do quick response, it will show me like this. If I say PowerShell on mid server, if I click it, what will happen is it will trigger the flow. You can see it's in progress. And the most important, I have seen many questions coming across this particular topic, that whenever there is a PowerShell script running from the flow designer onto a machine, can we track it into ECC queue? Yeah, the answer is yes, we can always track it into ECC queue, and people usually tend to find it using PowerShell in the topic, but it's not PowerShell when it gets triggered from, I mean, the code is PowerShell, but the topic name, when it gets triggered from the integration hub, it is always called as IPaaS. So please keep in mind that this is changed. If you trigger the PowerShell from the workflow, you will see PowerShell here in the topic. But if you trigger the PowerShell from the flow designer, you see IPaaS action probe. And now as I have triggered it, you can see just now, it has brought me all the process details here. And this will help the analyst to make a decision of converting it into an incident. If he thinks, okay, there is something really wrong, he can quickly convert it into incident. If we want to automatically convert it into incident, then we have to parse this particular details, make a decision based upon this particular output. Now, the last thing which I can show is start stop service. Once I click on start stop service, it will also trigger a workflow, and I can already see, sorry, but I can't do a remote session to my mid server at the moment, but I can see that it has successfully stopped my service. I can see it on my machine as well at the moment. And if you guys see, this is now PowerShell. So this is the major difference. When the PowerShell gets triggered from workflow, it will give you the topic as PowerShell. But if when you trigger the PowerShell from Flow Designer, it will give you IPaaS. Last thing, which another orchestration example, basically, any questions on this use case? Because I have another interesting use case which I need to show you guys. But any questions do you guys have for this particular use case?
Got any questions, guys? Don't forget to add them to the chat.
Great.
It looks like we don't have any at the moment.
Thank you. So the next interesting use case was how we can leverage REST activities, basically, from integration hub. Again, we had one simple orchestration use case where we wanted to trigger our Azure pipelines, Azure DevOps pipelines, and we did it via a catalog item. So when we used to submit a request for the catalog item, that catalog item used to trigger our Azure pipelines, and that Azure pipeline used to do something on our AD server and bring the results back. I can show you that. So we created the simple flow. Basically, I can reutilize my existing request. Give me a minute. Yeah. So I'm going to reutilize this request. So we are actually passing a YAML file to our Azure pipeline, which has all the information about which groups should be created in AD, which non-personal account should be created to AD, which groups it should be mapped, what role it should do. All the things were actually in that attachment, which is attached here. You can see that here, demo application. Once I run it, let's give it a couple of minutes. So this was basically on-demand orchestration. We can also do this using workflows, but as you guys know, the future is Flow Designer. So we did it with Flow Designer, and it's really easy for our process owners to maintain these flows, just drag and drop. So let's open this. Now you guys can see here, we have actually converted the YAML into the raw text. Then we have triggered our messages. And if I need to show you, then give me a minute. I don't know if I can share this. Can you see this link? Can you see the pipeline? Someone? Kapil? Ali?
No. We still see the Flow Designer.
Okay, then I need to share this screen as well. Give me a minute. I'm going to share this screen. Here you go. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
we can
it has,
now.
yeah, so it has actually triggered my pipeline in Azure DevOps, and that is done via this particular Flow Designer. Then it will do all the things mentioned in that pipeline, and it will give us the result. It will automatically close the request. So everything CI/CD, we don't have to do. Only thing is the user will come, submit the request, and the Flow Designer integration hub, the orchestration capabilities will handle everything. So basically that was it. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. I'm always available to answer those, offline, online, anytime.
So just to let you know, everybody, we will share Ashutosh's LinkedIn details after the session. So if you are looking to reach out to him, you can do so that way. And we'll be sending the presentation out to the team and any of the participants here to have a look at anything that they're looking at. And if they do have any further questions, of course, you can reach out to any of us here at Enable at info@enableps.com. And also from some of our very clever people here at Enable will be able to answer you. Kapil, I'm handing back to you.
Thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Ashu, for such a lovely session, informative one. So the fun time, I really love this one. So guys, quiz and answers and prizes. This will be a technical quiz with a focus on making you learn, just not to answer. And to answer, you must be the first to enter your answers correctly in the chat. The first one will be awarded. So get ready. Ali, request you to put the first question, please, in the chat.
Okay. Maybe I can.
First answer will be counted, and we'll move to the second one.
Okay. Maybe what I'll do, I'll just speak up the question. So
Yep.
let's see. Okay.
Yeah. So you're not giving people a chance to do Google.
No. Okay. So let's start off a couple of questions from the session we just had now from Ashutosh. Okay, and the first one.
Just before that, Ali, there's a question from Pranshu. Ashu, if you can answer that. What was the spoke used in Flow Designer for the Azure changes?
As I said, we didn't use any out-of-the-box spoke. We used REST capability of integration. We created our own spoke for it, and we are reutilizing that spoke for Azure pipelines. Because if you want to do this thing with out-of-the-box spokes, we need DevOps modules from ServiceNow, and I think it was not when we implemented this, or when we are actually implementing this, we didn't had access to DevOps module in EU region. It was not released for the whole EU region. So we created our own spoke for this.
Sure, Ashutosh. Got it. Thank you.
Ali, back to you.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, this should be a simple one. So in the session we just had, we just discussed about the ITOM suite. So can someone tell what are the two products that come under the ITOM Health suite?
Guys,
So,
first answer will be rewarded. So
no, that's not the right one. Yeah, I think Mohit has answered it correct. The correct answer is ITOM Event Management and Ops Intelligence, Operational Intelligence. So that's the right answer. Yep. So
great,
we
Mohit.
have the first winner here is Mohit.
For
Okay.
request you please take a note of that.
Okay. Now the second question. This is also from the session which we had today. So we saw a wonderful demo here from Ashutosh. So can someone name any four capabilities which are available in Integration Hub and which is also supported by orchestration? So any four capabilities which are available in Integration Hub and those which are supported by orchestration. So anyone?
Oh, we've got a couple of answers coming through.
Okay, we have PowerShell REST. Can we have two more? Okay, not okay, not workflows protocols. We need the actual names of the capabilities. So any more answers? Okay, can someone else try? Okay, I think finally Mohita has again answered it.
I think Mohit is an ITOM champion.
Yeah, it's ITOM Guru, I guess. So the correct answer is REST, SOAP, PowerShell, SSH, and also JDBC. You can count that also. Okay, good. So let's go back to something technical service now. Okay. Okay, so this question you need to think a bit before answering. So the question is, what is the order of execution of the following configurations? Okay, it's basically ServiceNow configuration order of execution when I open a record in ServiceNow. So the configurations are, one is on load client script, second is the display business rule, third is the access control, and fourth is a query business rule. So can someone tell me the order in which these execute when you open a record? The first is onload client script. Second is a display business rule. Third is access controls. And fourth is a query BR. Okay, again, it's another Mohit. Yeah, we have Siva here. So we have another answer from Viraj. Okay, so far we don't have the right answer. We can keep trying. Okay, that's not the right answer, Karan. Anyone else? Balaji, that's not the right answer. So I know there is this confusion always. That's not the right answer. Okay, so I think Mohit Kaushik, you've got the right answer again. So that's the actual order in which the
So I
configurations
think
exist.
there's a Mohit A and Mohit Kaushik, two different Mohits.
Two different Mohit, yeah. So basically when you open the record, it would try to query, the query BR would run. Then the field level ACLs would execute. And then after that, the display BR, and finally the onload client script. So this is how the order of execution would happen. Okay, going to the next question. This should be a simple one. Okay, so while modifying any data or patching records on production instance, what best practice would you use to ensure that the updates from an admin are not logged in the system? What best practice? Not fixed script. So what best practice you would use to ensure that the admin updates are not audited or logged? So we have an answer here, set autosys field. I think, yes, lots of answers. So we have the right answer here from Madi Priyanka. The right answer is using autosys field. You don't have the set in it, so it's The right answer we have got from Madi Priyanka. So maybe Nicole, you can note the name. And yeah, we use autosys field along with set workflow both, but specifically for auditing to avoid your names in the record, you would be using the autosys field. Okay. Okay. Next question might be a tough one, but it's related to mid server. So mid server queries ServiceNow for your work requests. Okay, and it processes communication between ServiceNow and the custom infrastructure. Okay, they are connected to ServiceNow through a specific channel in ServiceNow, and which enables this communication. Okay, can someone name this channel which the mid server is connected to? It's not the ECC queue. There would be a confusion. It's not the ECC queue which the mid server is connected to. Not SOAP. Any other answers?
There's A and B.
Oh, how do you know that, Nicole?
Ashutosh told me.
Oh,
Nicole, no prizes for you, sorry.
Okay, so that's the right answer. It's the asynchronous message bus. And so basically how this communication happens is mid server always maintains a connection with this AMB channel. Whenever there is an output record in the ECC queue, it sends an information to the AMB channel. Okay, and when mid server gets this information, it tries to query the ECC queue. So the right channel is AMB or the asynchronous message bus. Okay, and Kapil, you can decide who should get the prize. Okay.
Except Nicole, we can choose anyone.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we have 2 more questions to go. Okay, so most of you might have worked with LDAP. We used to set up LDAP for our customers. But there are certain customers who usually don't use LDAP, but instead of that, they'll be going for LDAP Secure, which is the LDAP S due to the security requirement. You can still configure LDAP S in ServiceNow, but can someone tell me the port number which you would be using to communicate with LDAP S and ServiceNow? The port number which is used to communicate with
Ashu's
LDAP.
thinking to answer.
Oh, 678. You're very close, Ravi. Not 636. Lots of 6. It's not 677. I think someone would say every number's in 600.
Your one will hit.
Yeah.
671, 672.
So
guys?
I can give a clue for that. It's in 680s.
Only one chance per person.
689.
Ravi, I feel like you can get this one.
Okay, so finally we have our Aghosh here. 686 is the right number. So Aghosh, did you Google that?
I think.
Okay, but we have the right answer.
No, Ali, I am not Googling that.
Yeah, okay, so you can note down Aghosh for that, Nicole.
Wonderful.
Okay, yeah, and we have the last question for today. It's something that we commonly use. So everyone should have worked with ITIL, right? You know the term ITIL is something that all the ServiceNow developers would always come across, and it's mostly used, right? So can anyone name any 3 roles which is contained within the ITIL role? Any 3 role, you should not open an instance and check it now, but any 3 role which is contained in the ITIL role. This is something that everyone uses. So that's something, the basic that you would start with. Any rules which think of the functionality and any 3 rules or at least 2 rules which the ITIL rule contains.
CMDB read.
CMDB read
certification.
Who is this?
Varun. And dependency.
Check it in the chat. Check your answer into the chat.
You need to put in the chat whatever is there in the chat. ITIL admin is not the right one. Template reader is one of them. Yeah, you're right with it. So Varun, if you want to answer, put it in the chat first. That's a rule. Yeah,
Ali, we are reaching 2 minutes time per question. People are using Google now.
Oh, we're getting
Yeah.
lots of answers now.
Yeah, see, we got one answer, but yeah, so I think Mohit has the right answer here. Certification, CMDB read and template viewer. The reason why I asked this question is there were certain new rules that was introduced in New York specific to ITSM that is related to write rules for incident, problem, change, and request, and also the CMDB read. With these rules, you could control the access specific to the specific modules of incident, change, and problem. So that's the reason why I put this question, so we could have this piece of learning also. Yeah, so we got this right answer from Mohit A. Yep. So I think, yeah, we are done with this quiz.
So our winners today were Mohit A, Mohit Koshit,
Mohit
sorry.
K.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maddie, Priyanka, and Agosh.
Great, guys.
Well done,
Well
everybody.
done. Well done. So please stay in the chat. Please stay there. We'll collect your email address and details to share your prizes with you. Finally, I would like to say a huge thank to all our participants today for your time on a Saturday. And thank you to our speakers, Mr. Bruce Hara, Sachin Bhasin, Ali Kutty, Ashutosh, and a very big thank you to Nicole. I know it's really late for you. A thank you to Meg. It's almost 10 o'clock in the night in Australia for your technical and event support. A big, big thanks to you guys.
Welcome.
Thanks,
Please
guys.
visit our Enable CEO Live page. You can follow us on LinkedIn. We'll be running this session quarterly, so ensure you follow us on LinkedIn to see who will be our next guest and join us in the fun inputs, informative advice and workshops we'll be conducting time to time. Repeating the same thing for late joiners, Interactive India. The aim is to provide ServiceNow India community with insights, informative advice, workshops, and international guests. My name is Kapil Kumar, and I'm the Director of Operations in India. We will see you next time. Have a wonderful weekend, a blessed New Year, and Merry Christmas to you all. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.